Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We're looking at a pretty fun Tuesday night slate here. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at the Golden State Warriors hosting those Dallas Mavericks. Some guys in and out of the lineup there, so make sure you are staying on top of that. Thelines.com and playpicks.com. Nate has a great article up on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there for you. And make sure to like and subscribe to that page, as we got a couple other videos up for you today, including that player props video looking to stay hot after a 4-0 start to the week last night. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Warriors are up to -3.5 now, opened around -3, but it's slowly being bet up, and that total being bet up a little bit too, now 212 from 210, despite the fact these are the most under-heavy teams in the league this year. But before we get into that game, let's whip around the association. We got Nuggets -7 at the Pistons. Clippers are +4.5 at Washington. The Raptors are -3.5 at home against the Hornets. We'll break that one down for you in a separate episode. Pelicans +8.5 at the 76ers. The Lakers -2 at the Nets. Just James Harden there. No Kyrie or KD, of course. Kings are +9 now at the Celtics. Good Lord. I can't expect the Celtics to cover that much at home. Spurs -4.5 at Rockets, of a total of 233 there. And then another big total, 231.5 with the Blazers +3 at home against the Wolves. Golden State, as we know, a great home team, but have not had much success against the Mavericks, regardless of menu. In fact, have not beaten the Mavericks at home since December 2018. 4 straight home losses, lost 7 of their last 8 to Dallas overall. And Dallas has covered in 7 straight when underdogs. So I know these trends we follow for good reason, but sometimes they have to stop, especially when you're talking about one of the most efficient teams in the league and one of the best home teams there are in the Golden State Warriors. So that while there are some numbers to indicate that it is going to regress here for Dallas, namely the fact that while they've won 11 of their last 13, they have the 8th worst offense in the league during that span. I mean, they're leading on a defense that is by far giving up the fewest points per game due to their slow pace, their grinding style, allowing the lowest three-point percentage by far, but giving up most attempts from deep. Sort of that same style we talk about with the Bucks, where they will make you shoot threes, but make the right guys shoot threes. And that's how they were able to slow down Steph Curry and these Warriors and beat them 3 weeks ago in Dallas. But I'm looking, I mean, we're always a little skeptical of Dallas for multiple reasons, but because their offense is bad and because Jason Kidd's a relatively new head coach that we don't trust yet. And in these last 11, 8 have been at home. Most of their high-profile wins have come with some sort of circumstance, like Memphis on a back-to-back, a third game in 4 nights or something like that. And when you just put Dallas on the road as dogs, they're 4-9 straight up. They're another team that has stepped up against their relatively poor division, 10-2 against the Southwest straight up, and 17-18 against everybody else. And then they're 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games following a win, 10-15 on the season in terms of trying to string together wins and cover spreads there. Golden State, we probably should mention off the top, no Draymond Green, no Andre Iguodala, which is the only reason we are hesitating here. And Clay is questionable as he keeps coming off injury here. But we have seen the Warriors, you know, they've been without Draymond for a long time now, and we have seen them put it together and really just beat the pants off teams like they did in Chicago when that offense is flowing. I think that they will be able to exploit Dallas's tendency to try to get the right guys shooting threes. I think Steph obviously can break down anybody off the dribble. And once he does that, I think Golden State will be able to use the right cuts and get the right guys open. Even if Clay is out, that's more minutes for Gary Payton too. And I just think that the supporting cast around Curry steps up at home and they finally snapped this. It's more just a feeling that, enough is enough. We've lost so many against these guys, 7 of our last 8, and we're going to get it done at home where they're 21-4 straight up and still the best defensive team in the league.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I'm not scared of 3 points, but I prefer the money line for the Dubs here in this one, just because I do think it's going to be close. I don't trust the Dubs to be able to stop what Luka and company are going to be doing. We don't have much of a use case this season for this game because Luka wasn't playing in the last one, and everything changes for them at this point. And Luka has had, we talk about Steph's success against the Mavs as of late, in his last 7, dropping 30 a game on some really good splits, contrast that with how poorly he's been lately. But I think this, to your point, I think this is a get right game for him. But I also wanted to point out Luka and his success against the Warriors in his career and as of late. In his last 4 against the Dubs, regardless of venue, averaging 33.5, 8 assists and 6.5 boards, really good splits, and then 10 free throw attempts a game. And then you just talk about in Golden State in the last 3 that he's played, at Chase or Oracle, some variation, 30 points, 8, about 9 boards, 8 assists in those 3 games on really good splits as well, with 7 free throw attempts a game, slightly less than the overall amount of free throw attempts he's getting versus the Dubs. But I think it is a stars night tonight for both of these teams in a big game for both. You mentioned the motivation that Golden State will have against this team after losing to them so frequently as of late, and the same could be said for Luka, who's got something to prove against one of the best teams in the league and a team that he could easily be facing in the playoffs, where he still has some demons to get rid of. So there's plenty of motivation in this one tonight, in sort of the nightcap that people will be watching here. I think as far as the total on this game, I lean under just because that's what the numbers tell me to do. Both of these teams go under about 70% of the season for Dallas, regardless of venue. 70% of their games are going under. For Golden State, 64% of their games are going under on the season, 70% at home. So there's plenty of reason to like the under here. It's going up a bit, I think, because Draymond does impact their defensive rating, obviously the Dubs. But honestly, we've talked about this before. It impacts their offensive rating more, in my opinion, and according to the stats, in terms of their decrease in offensive rating is greater than the gap in their defensive rating when he sits. So I think they can still get stuff done with guys like GP the second, playing D. Obviously, I wish they had Iggy as well, just for what he does cerebrally on defense and on offense, to feel better about them winning. That's really the reason that I don't like that bet quite as much as I do the under in this one. Feels ripe for a tease again, just because I wish that total was at about 215, 216, and I would feel a little bit better about the under. I don't really see either of these teams scoring 110 is my point. And so, it's close to what that, to hovering around that total right now. But yeah, I think honestly, I'm going to attack some player props in this one for both Luka and Steph. Some stuff that we might talk about in our player props video as well. But, in terms of my sort of feeling and priority on this one, I do like the Dubs money line. If you wanted to juice that a little bit, you might consider another couple games on the slate and some stuff that we like as well that would get you there. But either way, like this is going to be a really good matchup. I don't think it'll be a ton of points, but still I can see Steph and Luka getting theirs around 25 each, which if you like those, would bring you close to their player prop totals.
And those guys getting theirs doesn't necessarily mean they're going to put up 30 and take a ton of shots. It's their impact on the game, especially for Steph when he doesn't have as many supporting members around him, right? He has to react to these double teams and get in the lane and get other shots for his team. But I do think he's going to shoot better at home. You look at his last 2 home games, 4 for 13 and 1 for 13 from 3 against teams that are really struggling to guard the line, the Rockets and Jazz. So it's not like the matchup is daunting that, Dallas is so good at 3-point defense. It's really just Steph has not been Steph lately. And we're trying to get ahead of the curve. It hasn't happened yet that he just blows up. But you can at least expect him to start to regress positively towards where he is in his career. And at home, the Dubs have been on the road a lot since Christmas, most of the time, in fact. And at home, he has an offensive rating 11 points higher, up to 116. Their team averages nearly 6 points per game more. And that's, I think, why you're seeing this total creep up a little bit as people analyze, well, Golden State, they don't lean as much as on their defense at home because they can score more. And with those guys out, we're going to see a lot of Jordan Poole and Wiggins and Curry just jacking. So I think if it gets into that kind of style of game, then it will favor Golden State. I mean, we joke that the reason Dallas wins is because they drain the life out of their opponent by playing a slow-paced, ugly game. And if a few of those go in early for Steph, as I expect them to, I think Golden State will just start playing with more energy, more joy, and we'll finally get this team on their home court.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can't see it turning into an explosion necessarily where they're, getting there to 115 or so as a team. Clay is questionable, and there is the chance that he plays tonight, by the way. I mean, these player props for the Dubs are still not up as we record this in the morning. Everything that you can see right now on DraftKings, FanDuel, and the like is all Mavs players. Luka, 26.5 points, as we mentioned. Do feel pretty good about that, to be honest. I think he gets his tonight. And just as much as Golden State doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go off on offense just because Steph drops 25 to 30. Same can be said for Dallas, where, if Luka's the only one hot, he can easily get his 25 to 30 and still have this team stay under, 105 in terms of how many points they score. So still not worried about the under, even though I think there'll be some offense for each team. But Clay being in there would be huge, make me feel a lot better about that Golden State pick at -3 or that money line either way. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to the page. Got those other couple videos up for you, including the player props video. And until we see you next, happy betting.